gumbo. Few blocks up in the Dumbo, smoking a gumbo. Few blocks before green, yeah, up in the jungle, coconut bundles. It's history in the making. I'm popping like fish to the grease and the bacon. My bitch is Jamaican. United we stand, dividing these bands. They hide in their hands. I'm riding in vans, slide through your land. Hopping the sprinters, tore the underworld, popping the minter. Landed the turtles, I'm popping that splinter. Watching the snowfall, dropping the winter. Dodging the pitfalls, watching this bitch fall. And I still managed like Rich Paul. The paper was calling, I had to go switch calls. I spoke to my twin, I told my young boys I'd never be broken again. Invoking the gins, spitting the spirits, I'm soaking the gin. Your man's in the woods, we smoking on him. Fuck do you mean? We up it and squeeze, tuck it and leave, we leaving a stain. Fuck up for breeze, running the banks, causing a crashing. Feather the feds, Moorish the fashion. Horse we was smashing, kicking the door. Wave on 4-4, was blasting, mother the gassing, loving the passion, eat on your food, the brother was fasting. The weapon that formed against me was me, perfected the storm as Bentley receipts, washing the Benjis, we rinse and repeat, century of self, I'm centered on me, red as the pillar, I'm pushing the piece, higher the level, I'm pushing the keys, they going for 19, the summer is mine, I'm going for 19, thunder and lightning, flooded the bright lane, the hunger was biting, biting.
Join us Sunday, June 18th, 4:44 p.m. Chicago Crypto Block Bully presents a 4-week class on technical analysis.
Things we need an earnings recovery. We need the Fed to maybe not pivot, but at least be done. And then we need market breadth to confirm that an early cycle bull market's in place. Things we need an earnings recovery. We need the Fed to...
If you've ever watched financial news or looked up the price of a stock, chances are you've read a stock chart. A stock chart is a graph that displays the price of an investment over a period of time. In this video, we'll discuss some chart basics, view 3 common types, and show you how each displays an investment's performance. Finally, we'll introduce a few basics of technical analysis, which is an investment strategy that analyzes charts to help forecast future price movements. Let's start with charts. The main purpose of any chart is to display the current price of an investment and how its price has changed over time. One of the most common chart types is a line chart. A line chart is fairly simple.
When you join the class, you will have access to 8 weeks of class that already taken place, teaching on all things cryptocurrency and precious metals. Join us on Red Pillar's Patreon. Peace. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Welcome to Melanin Mondays. You are now rocking with the best. Yes, this is your host for the evening, Brother Red Pillar. I am in the building. Tonight is going to be a monumental show. Make yourselves at home. Get yourselves comfortable. Get your pens and your pads because you already know what this is going to be. You already know what it's going to be. Let's make sure that we good on the audio. How are we sounding on the audio? Mic check 1 2 1 2. Microphone check 1 2. And how we looking on the video as well. All right. Let's go ahead and do the roll call. All right. Let's see who's in the building. Let's do a quick roll call and we're going to get right into the show. I'm not going to hold y'all all night. You dig? So who is in the building? Does the Patreon subscription need to be updated monthly? Yes, of course it does. Stick with us by the month. It gets better month by month, all right? We have 2 classes this month, Ra Aku and Chicago Crypto. You dig? So we turning up in the Patreon. Shout out to all of my Patreons. We super lit over there. Marietta, Georgia in the building. Shout out to Marietta, North Kraken, and you already know what it is. Virgin Islands in the building. North Carolina in the building, Ohio in the building, Georgia in the building. I want Ras Ben to see that the grids are all connected, that all of the mound builders is in the building tonight. Connecticut is in the building. Pennsylvania is in the building. The DMV is in the building. You know what I'm talking about? H-Town is in the building. Pensacola, Florida's in this building. Flatbush is here. Barbados is here. All right. Peace. LA is up in here. Texas is in here. You dig? Bay Area, Delaware, Santa Rosa, California, Khalifa, Detroit is here. You know what I'm talking about? Jersey is here. Chicago is here. Alabama's here. Man, y'all the mound builder all-stars. Detroit is here. Savannah, Georgia's in here. Denver's up in here. Rhode Island is here. Cincinnati, the Seven Hills, Land of Flowers, Florida, Colorado. Conyers is up in this thing. Lynchburg is here. Cali, Khalifa's up in this thing. North Cackalack. And without any further ado, I don't even want to hold y'all up, man. Let's go ahead and open up the line for my guest tonight. You know what I'm talking about? The world renowned. This brother right here has sparked the minds of millions of people. This brother has single-handedly helped spearhead the movement with the mound builders. The brother is the author of the book Rocks of All Ages that I remember that was a Bible of mine when I was first getting into precious stones and things of that nature. And this brother has been on the forefront of the Star Nation research, or what he likes to call research. All right. So without any further ado, I bring to you none other than our brother, the incomparable Ras Ben. Boom, boom, boom. Ras Ben is up in this thing here.
Yes,
I don't have my sound effects. We graduated from sound effects. We
come
the
on now. To this day.
to this day. I know. I'm working on it because I got a new mic and it's not attached. You know what I mean? We yeah.
We know how it is, Star.
Yeah. For all of my editors out here, here's a project for y'all. We just gonna do this show tonight and y'all gonna edit the bombs and the to this days into it. All right. So once again, great seeing you, my good brother. Peace,
Yes,
love, and light.
Yes, I.
Yes.
Respect.
Indeed.
Thank you for that
man.
honorable introduction.
I had to go in my bag. Next time I'm gonna go to ChatGPT and just generate the intro for you, but I had to just dig in my bag because I know how intros feel when you're about to do something classic. You know what I mean? I know the importance of an intro, to bring you out the right way. Yeah. I have a new audience. I have new followers, new subscribers that are new to the channel. So some people are brand new to the power that is Brother Ras Ben. So can you briefly just give everybody, I know I did a great introduction, but if I left out anything, can you help fill it in?
Well, the only title I'll claim fully is that of a student, Yes. But the thing is, I've been on this studies for 40 years.
Ashe.
Yeah, man. So being a 40-year student of history, mystery, and prophecy,
yes,
has given me a certain vantage point, a certain perspective, a certain insight that, I could speak a little bit, but say a lot. And, lifelong student. So I'm still learning and growing.
Ashe. I can relate.
Yeah. I have been able to create some books, scribe some books. Rocks of Ages, you mentioned. Mm-hmm. Got a cousin, 5G Wellness 101.
Fire.
Right?
Yes.
And got living here in this place where the knot of time, the anciencies that has put us on this timeline, this Philadelphia experiment timeline, whether you know it or not. we all are on the Philadelphia experiment timeline, you know?
Yes.
So being at this place where that knot of time, where this ancient future has been created right here, and being open, like, you know that movie Sixth Sense?
One of my favorite movies. I See Dead People.
I See Dead People. Well, man, that thing only, why did it work? Because, you know, Shyamalan, M. Night Shyamalan, I'm a one-hit wonder,
Yeah.
right? Why? Because he, with that Sixth Sense, he really just plugged into the reality that this land they call Philadelphia, it's one big burial ground.
Mm.
And there's
My-
ancestries from all
Over.
space and time is buried here, and they all got a story to tell.
Mm.
If you like that little boy in the movie, you can hear him. Oh man, they're gonna be in your ear until you tell their story.
Right.
But I'm
Right.
fortunate enough that certain, where you say, significant ancestries has been in my ear. And I've been able to tell the story of the great mystery Philadelphia, man.
Oh man.
You know? And put that, this thing has just been, like you say, free your mind and your mind will follow. That book
Man.
was what ended up on the cutting room floor from the great mystery.
Man, you need more cutting room floor books if that's the case, because, and I know what you mean by that, but that's one of my favorite reads of all time. I won't even call it a book. It was a read, and you open up my mind, and I help open up the audience. I shared some of my delight, and guess what year that was?
2020?
2019. Right on
2019.
the heels of 2020, and everything shifted. I was getting into your book in January. Matter of fact,
I
2020.
put that in your hands right before y'all went to London, right?
You damn sure did. So
Yeah,
we talking 2019,
Huh.
and the world has never been the same. I feel like that book put me on a journey, bro. Real talk. Because it's a script. It laid out a lot of things for me. One of the things that I could appreciate about a good book is when it begins to fill in the puzzle pieces. There's nothing like looking at a puzzle when it's fully put together. The frustration that that one has looking at a puzzle halfway done, unless you're one of those minds that you can actually see it. You have a photogenic memory, and you could see the puzzle always put together. You're basically just looking at latent space or negative space and whatnot. However, there's a lot of people who don't have that skill set. So Moorish information has done this for me. Before that, it was the Kemetic walk that I went on. And then when I got into the Mineral Kingdom and other travels such as technology, people don't, I don't know if people have looked at technology from an occult perspective, from a metaphysical perspective. I don't think if they looked at computers in relations to the Kabbalah and the tree, and what generator operated destroyer really is. But man, a lot of pieces have been put in place. So I want to say each one of your tomes, from Rocks of All Ages, then the one that you did with the brethren, the reggae, the Black to My Roots.
Yes.
It laid out.
Dr. Shabazz.
Man, say his name again.
Dr. Shabazz.
Dr. Shabazz. Highly recommended book.
Yes.
And your lectures, of course, your consortium of lectures, those have been mind blowing. The way you've helped me, see things from a geodetic perspective, from a morphogenetic perspective, and just put the science behind something that I was doing before I even had the science.
Yeah,
And that was tapping into the electromagnetic field.
absolutely. Being able to articulate our relationship to the earth energy grid, the global mound matrix, what's going on in these shitties, and how
Shitties.
their whole thing is to more or less disconnect us from the energy grid and
Right.
implant a spell. They got a spell on the land
Yes.
that just keeps us disconnected from our
Right.
creator self, So being able to articulate those things where people can go out and decode their own city. We give them the keys to decode their own city wherever you're living,
Right.
using the three examples of Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., and Richmond, Virginia,
Rich Moan.
and showing how all of these places, the geodetic spell in each of these places, and being able to decode it in such a way like, yo, do the same thing for your city. And we've inspired a lot of people to do that,
I see it. I see it.
Yeah, different ones have been coming on that show from the 40th parallel, sharing their information. We've been doing a lot of work in Pittsburgh recent.
Shout out to Pittsburgh. You know
Yeah,
what I'm talking about?
yeah,
Shout out
yeah,
to
yeah.
Pitts. Yeah. I
Good
saw a clip
brothers,
of that. Yeah, that was lit.
John and Khufu, Peace in Pittsburgh and Spatial Creativity. These brothers is, they getting it in. When you say when you've inspired a student,
Right.
that when you see their works, it's like, wow. Yeah. That's how that Pittsburgh crew got me, because man,
They
they
was
got it
they
in.
was getting in, right?
Yeah. And then we got a whole geomancy crew in South Florida too.
The land
Salute,
of flowers.
Mike.
Salute to y'all.
Yeah.
Salute to all of the chapters of the 40th parallel.
Yeah. So, we're inspired. We're inspired by that. When we see students take your teachings and take it to a higher level, take
And
it
that's
to the
it.
next plateau,
And it,
manifested in their domain.
right.
Man, it inspires me. So I'm thankful for all of that.
And for all of the students out there who always, would always question, what is it that I can do to pay back my teacher for all of he or she has given me? And I would say the same thing that Ras Ben just said. Take the works of the teacher and build on it. Build on top of it, improve on it. And always give credit where it's due. And the relationship will flourish that way. It will blossom, because there's nothing that makes us feel more accomplished than to see our work, actually living and breathing and growing.
Absolutely.
So I want to get right into it, man. There's no time to waste. You came on this show in the beginning of the first quarter of 2023. Classic show. Prelude to Quantum Quickening was the title of it. I highly recommend that everybody that's watching this tonight do yourself a flavor and go back in time and tap into the prophets or the prophecy that the brother laid out. Tonight's show, we're not going to spend too much time on those prophecies because they've already taken place. I'm going to put some YouTube shorts up throughout the 7 days to actually show clips of prophecies that the brother made on the show alongside with the prophecies as they've taken place. Tonight, however, I want to talk about a topic that is on the minds and the mouths and the hearts of a lot of people. I've been beginning to hear this. I actually heard it 4 times since last Monday.
Wow.
And yeah, 4 times on 4 different channels from 4 different teachers, right? One of the brothers who I heard most recently was on Black Magic 363, a good brother by the name of Q Reeves. Shout out to Q Reeves if he's watching this. I'm talking about powerful show. And People are bringing up the Philadelphia experiment. The Philadelphia experiment. I'm hearing about the Philadelphia experiment. I'm not necessarily hearing too much about the Montauk Project. However, Spirit is telling me that's not what I'm supposed to be hearing. I'm supposed to be hearing, I'm supposed to be picking up on the fact that not only, the whole planet is not just talking about the Philadelphia experiment, the planet is actually resonating. And, the planet that we are in right now, or the plane of existence that we exist in right now, is a result of the Philadelphia experiment. It caused me to do a little bit of deep diving. And my mind was blown. I rewatched Peter Moon, and I listened to everything that he was talking about when he spoke about what the Montauk Project actually was about. And it blew me away, because I said to myself, well, God damn it, why doesn't anybody put the pieces together that the reality that he was speaking of is the reality that we live in right now? When he was speaking about virtual reality, when he was speaking about holograms, when he was speaking about all of these things with technology and whatnot, when he was speaking about intelligent machines that they said that they were in contact with the alien species, right? That
Right.
was giving them, that was giving them information.
Right. These aliens were giving them technology that, they had their own agenda. They gave the boys at Montauk the Delta T antenna and all these other different technologies to blow these holes in the
Right.
fact of space-time. But they, at the same time, they had their own agenda.
Right.
Yes.
As I talk, I'm going to bring up a presentation that you put together. I love the visuals, y'all. You know, I love the visuals. I'm a visual person. I have high respect for anybody who takes the time out to put together a visual, compelling presentation. Children that are watching my show, they learn quicker through the visual component, along with parents too. We help break through the paradigms of falsehood, false perceptions, and what we call the proverbial Jericho's wall, because a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yes.
So before we even talk about the Philadelphia experiment, I want to preface for the audience that this experiment preceded an experiment that we're all familiar with because of the results of that experiment, and that would be entitled the Manhattan Project. There was a time during World War II where America was facing inevitable defeat, right? They were not they were losing on multiple fronts. They were losing on the fronts. Rome was on them, Japan was on them, and Germany was on them. Okay, they panicked and they said that we have to develop multiple programs. So this is when the government went to bed with the scientists. This is when they got into bed with the scientists as a last result, or last resort for that matter, before America was utterly destroyed by the powers that be that were out there who had advanced technology. So what they did was they commissioned a project where they were attempting teleportation. Listen to what we say, what the what it is that they were aiming for, and put it into perspective in 2023. What's the conversation and where we are with our technology? Teleportation, right? Invisibility. They wanted to cloak their battleships in order to have the advantage in the war, of course, because if you don't have if you don't have the sights to see your enemy, then you do not have an advantage on said enemy. Henceforth, why the submarines were so effective, because many of them were able to fly underneath radar and whatnot. And they were coming up from the oceans and destroying ships. So the American government, alongside their different agencies, they decided to implement an experiment utilizing technology that was left behind by Nikola Tesla and also the unified theory from Albert E. Einstein. The same Albert Einstein who was successful in the Oppenheimer project and the Manhattan Project to create the nuclear bomb, which opened up portals and eventually shift the tides of the war and put America or the USA and their allies in a powerful position. And also, it is said to that got them into contact with entities or intelligence. When I say intelligence, keep in mind intelligence, right? And intelligent life forms. They were able to tap into these intelligent life forms as a result of detonating this atom bomb. This atom bomb detonation or the splitting of the atom is something that has said to have taken place multiple timelines. And when this happened with humanity, they became a threat not only to themselves, but to the world at large. And as a result of that,
the cosmos.
The cosmos at large, not the world, not the galaxy, but the cosmos at large,
yes.
Which resulted in the interference of higher beings. The same higher beings that is being reported by whistleblowers to this day. The same higher beings that it is being not only reported by whistleblowers, but we were this close, right? For all of my enthusiasts out there, for my internet sleuths, we were this close to obtaining video footage out of Las Vegas that would have shifted the paradigm of the collective thought of the planet, right? We're talking about perception being reality. The minute a video drops on WorldStar of an alien moving around, even though I saw a video of an alien, however, I can't confirm that is from Las Vegas, right? The data they capture in alien species that appears to be intelligent, it can't look like it's not intelligent. It has to show some type of intelligence that's beyond what humanity or humans or mankind has. And there you have it. That is a paradigm shift. That will be a end time event, right? Because everybody's perception resets. It's the great reset. And then the world is never the same after that one date. So we are edging closely to that date. But I'm going to go through this presentation because this is about my good brother Ras Ben, right? And his predictions. And we are going to show and prove how accurate our his school of thought is and the tools that he has utilized to come up with the predictions that he's been able to come up with. Just want to add that one of the biggest things in the world of economics right now is the technology that is aligned with being prediction model machines, right? Mm-hmm. They are worth trillions of dollars. They are investing billions of dollars in order to have the large language models or LLMs become predictive model machines. All sectors of business will benefit off of that immensely, and they're looking at a gold rush in the next quote unquote, this is a post-war economy. Post-war economy. In the World War II post-war economy, we got the New Deal, we got microwaves, we got advances in technology and people would never have fathomed if not for World War II. So in the post-COVID world, this is a new frontier. One of the main things that you're going to see is the merger of AI and biometrics, biotechnology, all things bio. Okay, you're going to see the emergence of gene editing and things of that nature. You're going to see them utilize technology to use medicine and healing from a distance. They're already doing it right now. There's devices that you can wear that can actually heal you with frequencies from afar. But let's travel down this wormhole. Let's go down this rabbit hole. Let's go through this. Let's teleport through this timeline and go through 2023, a pivot of time. Okay. So I'm going to go through the slides. Good brother.
Yes, I. Well, uh, well, actually, go forward a little bit. Go. Let's start at that first one, the pivot in time, because we said the other one, the one that was the beginning. Yes, I. Because what we said, why we said 2023 was a pivot in time was for two reasons. One, the slowest planet in our solar system, Pluto, is making a transition. Last 16 plus years, Pluto's been in Capricorn, you know, and just the whole idea of patriarchy
Mm.
and leadership with Pluto and Capricorn. Uh, I would say the Obama, Trump, and Biden presidencies were all in Pluto and Capricorn, and each one kind of represented the idea of patriarchy on a level. We ain't gonna get all deep into that, but that's shifting
Right.
this year, you know?
Mm.
The idea of the man calling the shots is gonna shift. I think I learned this concept since when I gave this presentation, what they call it. It's not mob consciousness, but like
Groupthink.
groupthink. We're moving into the age of groupthink, man. Groupthink is going to be our leader. Groupthink is going to evolve into our leader.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Aquarius representing the class, the mass, you know, the collective.
Right. The
And
network.
and Pluto is the power. So groupthink, the beehives,
Right.
they're gonna be running things, you know. So that's gonna be interesting to see.
Right.
But also a big pivot. I never had a annual vision where I had to factor in the artificial manipulation of time.
Right.
But in 2023, we had to do that
Right.
because the artificial we're at a pivot where the previous artificial manipulations of time is going to really, like, we have an opportunity to collapse what we could call the Philadelphia experiment timeline. And I see a lot of momentum, like a lot of momentum. Like I'm so thankful to hear you saying other people are talking about it because
A
that's
whole
showing
lot.
momentum.
Right.
We're building around this, you know. We have an opportunity to actually collapse that timeline in 2023
For sure.
or that dystopian future of the AI. We say alien invasion, artificial intelligence, the specter of all this, you know,
Right.
terminate.
Culmination.
Yeah. That
Endgame.
end game shit.
Ultron.
That's right there. That's right here too. So
Shout out to Bobby Hemmett.
yes. So I'm glad to hear. I actually did because people reached out to me about what the brother's name, Q Reeves.
Yeah.
They reached out to me like, yo, the brothers echoing your works, you know?
Right. That's
Because
what's up.
ultimately 2023, there's a 40-year Earth biorhythm that, you know, these mad scientists, really going back to Ben Franklin, have been manipulating time on Earth timelines.
Yes.
And to just, if I could real
I can
quick,
feel it.
explain, because it's not random that
Please
Philadelphia
do.
is this place, because really Philadelphia was birthed to be a manipulation of a prophetic timeline.
Mm.
Okay?
Break that down.
Prophecy of the Church of Philadelphia, Revelations chapter 3,
Okay.
where there's a message to 7 churches. 6 of the churches catch a judgment. There's only one church that receives a benevolent prophecy, and that's the Church of Philadelphia,
Mm.
right? And yeah, y'all got to read Revelations chapter 3. But anyway, the birth of Philadelphia by Ben Franklin and William Penn and all of these boys was an attempt to manipulate prophetic timelines, right?
Right.
So William Penn fulfilled what is known historically as his holy experiment.
Okay.
All of this is tied into what is called William Penn's prayer.
Okay.
It was essentially William Penn's prayer and his holy experiment. He said, "Oh God, if I can create a colony
Right.
where the people that I colonize and the gathered churches of London can get along in oneness, we can live in oneness. May my land see providence and grace
And prosperity.
on Judgment Day.
Mm.
When Judgment Day come, can I escape the judgment?"
Right. Can we skip through it?
Yeah, so that was what's called William Penn's holy experiment. Now we can have enough commentary on that and be here all night. You know that.
Right. Right. We can
Thing
revisit that.
Yeah, at some point. But the thing is, it's not coincidence that what's called the Philadelphia experiment, this manipulation of timelines using technology, was birthed here
Right.
because the city itself is, again, an attempt to manipulate a prophetic timeline. You know?
Right.
So that's all my 40th parallel research. Because when you study the cats that was attempting to do this, right?
Right.
It was all about this woman in the wilderness. And where was this land? Like what they did, the unspoken part of William Penn's holy experiment is that they studied the Table of Nations. They studied the Book of Enoch. They studied geography. They studied,
Mm-hmm.
and they determined the people that were going to who through their birthright, being in the Table of Nations, they was going to receive that grace on Judgment Day. And they studied the geography to determine where is the land that's prophesied. If you hear on Judgment Day, you're going to be able to watch judgment and not catch it.
Mm.
So they studied all of this and they masked it in their language, the place being the 40th parallel
Right.
in the wilderness. And the people who they call Sarah types. And Sarah is the wife of Abraham. So these is basically Abrahamic people by birthright, not necessarily because they are converted Christian, Muslim, or Jew, but just
Right. By birthright, by blood.
Yeah, by blood. These is Sarah types. They call them the woman in the wilderness.
Mm.
Right? And through all of that, that's why they birthed Philadelphia here. It wasn't random. Them boys studied. You know what I'm saying? So then you got the whole dimension of Ben Franklin, who, coming on the heels of William Penn's holy experiment, Ben Franklin came with we all associate the Philadelphia experiment with the USS Eldridge in 1943.
Right.
All of Ben Franklin's scientific work around the quote unquote discovery of electricity, the discovery that electricity is that static charge and thunder and lightning are the same phenomena, and that through a circuit and through a battery, you can store and use that charge, right?
Right.
Ben Franklin discovered all that here in Philadelphia. All of his works were called the Philadelphia experiment. So the Philadelphia experiment really started with Ben Franklin.
Right.
It's been going on since the time of Ben Franklin at the Franklin Institute.
Right.
And in conjunction with the University of Pennsylvania.
Right.
Okay. So we got to remember that too. That's really important, that the Philadelphia experiment didn't start in 43. It really started with Ben Franklin. But what happened in 43 is two big leaps in the technology. One was the invention of the computer, ENIAC. First computer was built at the University of Pennsylvania for the quote, well, this is the story.
Yeah, what's the cover story?
This is the cover story. The ENIAC was built to help them compute the trajectory of missiles.
Right.
And to, just help with mathematics, help win World War II. Right? But what it does appear happened is that a scientist named John von Neumann,
right,
he used ENIAC, the first computer, to figure out the mathematics to synchronize the generators on the USS Eldridge with these what are called delta T antennas, which are basically those Tesla coils.
Right.
That in their deployment of the Eldridge, they refer to as delta T antennas.
Right.
Right. So it seems like John von Neumann used ENIAC to calibrate
right,
generators on the Eldridge with the frequency they intended to broadcast through these delta T computers, thus making the USS Eldridge as an entire ship because what is an antenna but vibrating metal?
Right.
At a certain frequency.
Right.
So through calibrating the generators on the Eldridge with the frequency they intended to broadcast through these delta T antennas, the whole ship was a broadcast beacon,
like a platform. Right.
Oh, yeah. And that's why the whole ship dropped out the space-time continuum.
Right.
So they did this August 12th, 1943.
Yes.
And basically what it did was it opened an uncontrollable hole in the fabric of space-time. And John von Neumann realized, we got to get a grip on this thing. We can't just have some random open hole in the
fabric. In the fabric of time, right.
It's not, like we can't do that, right? So what they calculated to do was to create a 40 by 40 hole in the fabric. In time, it was going to be 40 years. So they recreated the same experiment August 12th, 1983.
Right.
And they did it in terms of space. They did it 1 degree of latitude away from Philadelphia, Montauk, New York. But that 1 degree that separates Philadelphia and Montauk is the 40th degree of latitude, right? Philadelphia, where the experiment occurred, which is for those that are in Philly, off what they call Tinicum Island, which is, for most people, their frame of reference could be Philadelphia International Airport.
Right.
Water's kind of right off the airport, a little bit further south, but not much further, right? That's, and that's on the 39.9998, degree of latitude. And when you study Montauk, it's at the 41.0001, it's like on the northern cusp. So that 40th degree of latitude in space and the 40 years of time, they created a 40 by 40 hole in the fabric of space-time.
Wow.
To control this thing, to contain this thing.
Right, right. Exactly.
So what that means is the original Philadelphia experiment occurred August 12th, 1943. The Montauk Project jumped off August 12th, 1983. And we should mention, too, that show on, what's it on, Netflix? Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Stranger Things is a fictionalized depiction of what was going on in Montauk in the 80s when they opened up the portal in Montauk.
Right.
But what we got to know, too, is everything that is labeled the Montauk Project, really what it is, it's a continuation of the Philadelphia experiment.
Right.
It was an attempt to contain that thing. But why all of that is relevant, we said, at the beginning of the year, we got to pay attention to this shit. We got to be able to articulate it and build on it. Is because it works on this 40-year biorhythm of the earth. So August 12th, 2023. You're gonna push some button. Somebody gonna push some button somewhere, man. How can you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Button gonna get pushed. So, but at the same time, because we have this awareness of what it is now, and can articulate it clearly.
Yes.
And we got a collective consciousness. Enough people, like you say, you heard it 4 times in a strong?
4.
Right?
4.
So what that means is there's a collective consciousness that if we can get the critical mass of awareness, enough people focused on it with the proper intention, we could collapse this shit.
Right. Collapse the wave.
That's the whole intention of our reasoning tonight.
Yes, indeed. That's all right. So can we move forward in the slides?
Are we ready, Star?
We ready. Yes, yes, yes.
And really it's going to be recapping what I just summarized.
Definitely. Let's go.
Right. So again, the Philadelphia experiment. August 12th, 1943, USS Eldridge, coming out of the Philadelphia shipyard, which is that lower image you see.
Yes.
Right? Went a little further south on the Delaware River, originally called the Lenape-Hana River.
Yes.
And they pushed the button, man. And it was a catastrophic success because they were able to pierce the veil of the fabric of space-time. But when the ship rematerialized, most of the crew was insane or had actually, because everything, we're molecules just like the ship.
Right, dematerialized.
Everybody dematerialized, and when the ship rematerialized, a lot of people were stuck in the bulkhead
Of
and
the ship. Right.
of the ship. So it was a catastrophic success. Two other survivors, Al Bielek and Duncan Cameroon, they actually jumped through the hole of space-time that was created,
Time portal. Yeah.
and they survived by coming out at Montauk
In 83.
in 83. So if you watch the Philadelphia Experiment movie, they're the real life characters depicted in that movie. But in the movie, the portal they come out is depicted to be like a desert in Nevada, right? And of course, they don't have that name, that the names they have in real life.
Of course.
Yeah. So yeah, we can move forward. Right. So boom, that's what we're talking about. This is Montauk. And Peter Moon and Peter Moon and what's the other boy's name that helped him write it?
Preston Nichols.
Preston Nichols. Preston Nichols, man, he's a character. But
Mm-hmm.
basically, Preston Nichols' story is that he worked at Montauk. He was a technician. And through some wild shit that went down, they had to kind of like the Stranger Things. When you watch the Stranger Things and
the sheriff,
yeah, all types of shit is breaking down and people acting crazy and shit. So that was supposedly happening, and Preston Nichols, along with several others, their memory was wiped, like with the Men in Black. Some
they just wipe it, right?
Their memory was wiped and they were sent about to live a mundane life. But Preston Nichols claims that, he had a total recall.
Right.
He remembered his, and he came in contact with Duncan Cameroon and Al Bielek, and along with Peter Moon, who was an author. And I forgot that he was an author and a researcher who was studying the Moors.
Right.
Long Island.
Right.
Yeah. And so all of these characters came together and wrote a series of books.
Right.
Wow.
I'm gonna show the covers when I have a slideshow that I put together. I'll show them the covers of it.
Yeah. Because you're right. You hosted but yo, how about I got to meet these brothers in 1996? I got to sit down and hear their personal story, one-on-one, straight from their mouth.
Straight from it. How did it resonate with you?
It blew me away. I could tell they was telling the truth on one level because number one, Duncan Cameroon, the man was so traumatized. He ain't say a word.
Right.
He just looked like, I'm trying to anchor myself in a reality.
And reality makes sense.
You know who he reminded me of? Again, another movie associated with Philadelphia, 12 Monkeys.
Right. Yeah.
Bruce Willis was just like, he'd rather be in a timeline that he was a crazy nut, just as long as he could be anchored in a timeline.
It's just in a timeline, right?
Yeah. That's how he struck me. And there was also, if I could just be honest, and you take it for what it is, there was a strange electrical charge around all these characters, man. I
Right.
felt an energy around them that I didn't feel around other people.
Mm.
For what it is, you know, that was my, and to me that said it spoke a lot. Like they went through something
Right.
that had these characters had a different charge on them. And like you say, that they're European, so you have some say it, they don't carry as much energy as
As the
another,
melanated ones. Right.
right? But a palpable charge on them, man. That's
Right. Right.
for what it was worth.
For what it's worth. That's
Yeah.
right. For what it's worth. I could dig it. I could definitely dig it, bro. Let's go to this next slide.
Yeah, so that's just showing, like, if we follow this 40-year Earth biorhythm, somebody's going to be pushing a button somewhere.
That's a
August
fact.
12th, 2023.
It's
You
gonna
know?
be us.
Yeah. We could be
It's
the
gonna be
ones
us.
collapsing this timeline. That's what we
Straight
talking
like
about
that.
this thing. And Geordie Rose, the guy who introduced the D-Wave, the first commercially viable quantum
Quantum
computer.
computer.
He made
Legend.
3 predictions when he introduced it to the world. He said by 2018, NASA is going to found a planet that has water and that it's Earth-like, and it's going to be within 40 light years of Earth. All right, this prediction is already manifested.
It has.
You could go next slide. Yes, and I think it was in 2017.
Mm.
It's announced that. So that was the year before Geordie Rose said it was going to happen, right?
Right. It was early for him.
They found 3 Earth-like planets discovered 2/22/2017,
Mm.
and being described as just under 40 light years
Years away. Right. To
right?
the
So
T.
his first prediction is, and they used the D-Wave computer
Right.
to come up with this calculation. And remember, the D-Wave, these quantum computers, the big difference is that they don't necessarily do the calculated math of binary computers, but what they do is find the quantum timeline
Right.
where the truth that they're seeking to find is true
Exists. It's
and
true.
exists.
Right.
And then they merge through what's called quantum entanglement.
Entanglement.
They merge to that timeline.
Right.
They use the D-Wave to merge us onto this timeline where they know that there's these Earth-like water planets within 40 light years from us, right?
Right.
But now his second prediction, we go to the next slide. He said by 2023, a major breakthrough in physics will occur based on a model whose cornerstone is the reality of parallel universes, and an experiment will be performed on a quantum computer that will support the new theory. So damn, I mean, if I break that down, what y'all telling me is y'all are going to use a quantum computer to put us on a parallel timeline in a parallel universe through what y'all call an experiment, you know? And this is what we talking about.
That's the Montauk
This
experiment.
is what we talking about. This is
That's basically the Montauk right there.
Geordie Rose already told us, like, this is what we intended to do with 2023 with the what is ultimately a continued manipulation of the Philadelphia experiment effect.
I'm gonna say that it already happened. I'm gonna say that that's stable diffusion. I'm gonna say that that's the generative AI large language models, because they got one for art. It's that stable diffusion that's tapping into latent space and whatnot, and they're generating images from the multiverse and from different timelines. And I would say that the GPT is also, there's different GPTs, but the GPT coming out of China, the GPT called Falcon coming out of Dubai, and the Chat GPT coming out of Microsoft. Those could basically be the that's the model, right? Large language model, LLM, and the cornerstone is the reality of a parallel universe, because they already said that these are tapping into parallel universes and whatnot. So
Here we
as
go.
they say that they're hallucinating, but they're tapping in to different timelines, like the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once was showing, right? They're jumping different lines.
Yes. So, yeah, I mentioned all of this at the beginning of the year to say this thing was going to take on a relevance. It was going to be important. We were going to need to be able to articulate it and overstand all of this to have a grip on the time that we was in 2023, you know?
Right.
So I give thanks for allowing us to recap this thing, you know?
It's important.
Because this thing is real, as crazy as it is, you know? From there, I just went into the astrology of things. And like you say, we already done built on that.
Yes, yes.
You know, so it's really about this artificial manipulation of timelines that's coming to relevance in 2023 that we wanted to touch on.
Highlight. Right. Right. So you good with the slides?
Yes.
Okay. Dope. Yeah, man.
Now I will say, further in, one of the things with Neptune being in Pisces, we did say this was going to be a probable year Star Nation contact may occur.
Yes.
For a couple of reasons. Astrologically, Neptune in Pisces, which Neptune is associated with what's called the macabre, Ra's arc of a million years. You know, the mothership connection.
I see it. I mean,
yeah. And so
it's
we
playing
hear
itself
what's
out.
happening in Vegas now. I'm gonna get my daughter. Man, I have a daughter who's been in Vegas for a number of years.
Yes.
And giving me the scoop from out there. And she actually hit me up about this before it dropped nationwide, you know?
Right.
And thing is though, hey, if I ain't do nothing right, brethren, if I ain't do nothing right in my life, because I got two beautiful daughters, man.
Right, beautiful. Congrats on that.
Right? You ain't gonna find them on social media, man.
Off the grid.
They off, yeah. They ain't down with that.
Right.
To the degree that my one daughter that lives in Vegas, who, like, when she was a tween, she had a Star Nation vision here in Philly.
Right.
She saw this big Star Nation event in the city. Drew it and everything. She didn't, for whatever reason, they weren't able to capture it with a camera. But she drew what she saw in the heavens, you know.
They got the vision.
It was her and my empress, right?
Yes.
But the point is, when she moved out to Vegas, she's kind of grown into an interpersonal relationship with the Star Nations out there. She go in her backyard, have a Medi, have a vision, bam, they there.
Right.
Communing with her, you know?
Right.
And she's been keeping tabs, keeping awareness with what's going on with the star nations out there.
Beautiful.
The thing is, though, You wanted
to pull up?
Share, because the thing is, right, I did that, what was it called? The Heavens Are Open.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Why haven't I really done too much more with Star Nations? Because it would just be a rehash of that.
Right.
I ain't get no extra downloads from that. They're not revealing themselves to me on deeper levels than that.
Right.
Who's getting that?
She is.
My daughter, Ayana.
Yeah.
So, Ja willing, man, I can encourage her. I hope this event out there will be the spark where it's like, I'm ready, Baba, because I see what it is.
Right.
You know? She even showed me some other shit where there was a mass sighting in front of the casinos.
I saw that with the ships.
Yeah, there was, maybe a month or so ago.
Yes.
Out there, it was a big thing. It
It's
ain't
picking
really
up.
it ain't hit the nation
Like
media,
that. Yeah.
nationwide media, but out there, because it was at the casinos, it was like,
right,
everything stopped in front of 2 or 3 of the biggest casinos. Like,
right,
yo, y'all see this,
right.
So,
Nah, it's going down. It's definitely going down.
So, Ja willing, man, I'm gonna host her sooner than later, and because her reasoning is so
unique.
It's so unique. It's real because you see how these youth are, man.
They different. They tapped into it. They got a whole nother phone number.
They're on a whole
that
nother.
they dialed into. Yeah.
Yeah, they're HD. They 4K.
They are.
We're low res and shit.
They are. And the ones that came, the ones who just got here, they're definitely, they have a connection to the unseen and to the ancestor realm that is incredible, and they also are technologically advanced.
Yes.
They have incarnated into a time where this is the last generation of man. So they chose an opportune time to come, and because they're hardwired for a future where they're going to be competing with supercomputers at 1 and 2 years old, they're exhibiting signs of intelligence amongst antiquated, analog parents. We're not digital like that. We were born when the shift took place. They were born in it.
Yes.
So imagine what 20 years from now is going to be like if they're mastering the tablet and the phone without reading an instruction. They didn't see you do it.
Right.
Certain grandparents can't do it to the degree of a 1-year-old. They're skilled enough to where they could teach their parents. So the children are teaching the parents, and that doesn't happen in every generation, but it does happen in some. And this is one of the generations. Absolutely. So the newer children who came,
if you want to stay relevant and exist in 2023, you better have some youth helping you stay plugged in. That's what I'm living right now myself.
Facts.
I'm living that thing,
Facts.
Thank you.
Thank
you for helping me stay relevant,
Oh no, that's my job.
Yeah.
I put together a little thingamajig just to add on to what you was building on.
Please do.
I want to run through this.
I'm going to pause my camera just for a minute.
All right.
But I'm going to keep my mic live.
Right. Yes. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and do that too. So the focus will be on the information and whatnot. Yeah, I'm talking about. Let's do that.
All right
now. So yeah, man. Just some observations and whatnot. Now, this image to the left was made in Midjourney. Once again, like I said, going to show and prove how this intelligence is not as artificial as people are giving it. That it's, you know, they're trying to dismiss it in a sense. But, you know, I went into the intelligence machine. I went into the quote unquote predictive prompting machine, and I put the prompt in, and it gave me back, you know, the inside of the quote unquote ship. So here's an official Department of Navy document about the Philadelphia experiment, right? UFOs. Over the years, the Navy has received innumerable queries about the so-called Philadelphia experiment or project and the alleged role of the Office of Naval Research in it. The majority of these inquiries are directed to the Office of Naval Research or to the 4th Naval District in Philadelphia. The frequency of these queries predictably intensifies each time the experiment is mentioned by the popular press, often in a science fiction book. Okay. The genesis of the Philadelphia experiment myth dates back to 1955 with the publication of The Case for UFOs, right, by Morris K. Jessup. So I'm just bringing up Jessup because The Case for UFOs is what I'm tying it to, right? So we're seeing predictive programming take place in many different sectors of our life and whatnot, and our waking reality and what they call it, right? So the exact scene, one of the exact scenes or one of the exact screenshots from Blade Runner, right, from 2049, a film that came out in 2017, is what we saw in New York City, June 7, 2023. Black Dot, who is in his 50s, said that he's never seen the sky like that ever in all of his years.
Nothing like it.
Never seen nothing like it ever.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of freaky things.
It wasn't extreme in Philly as New York, but the sky was orange down here same way. It was just a more pastel.
More of a pastel color, right? Because it's so artistic in Philly as it is. You know what I mean? Y'all can't even help it. Y'all just so artistic that the shit was like, I'm gonna show up as pastel for them.
Yeah.
So Philadelphia had something very interesting happen the other day. Another one of those. This is the first time I've seen that happen. You know, symbolically, what represents a bridge collapsing in a popular city is similar to the symbology of what we see in New York when the reports come out to say that the buildings are sinking, right? So Ras Ben talks about the shitty, okay? I was doing some research on Philadelphia, man. The Philadelphia history, they need their own series, bro. They need, I mean, you're doing a great job with the 40th parallel, but they need their story told because it went through a lot of different let's say iterations, right? Many different iterations. And Philadelphia, like New York City and other places, are built on top of cities.
Yeah.
Okay. These cities are sometimes considered to be graveyards because of the condition that these cities were ransacked.
Absolutely.
And the way that these cities were, you know, these cities turned into mass graves. Okay.
That's what I was telling you. That's how Philly is, man.
Yes.
You dig anywhere in this city, and you're gonna find some bones, bro. And it happens all the time. They get ready to redo a playground. Oh man.
And they dig up all of these bones.
Archaeological project. Oh, they're gonna renovate a school. Oh no. It's now archaeological projects.
You know? Right, because everything is being buried.
On the regular here, you know?
Right, because of the rich history and who was there.
Exactly.
Right? And you know, the when we talk about geomancy and when we talk about the research that goes into these cities and whatnot, or these shitties, and when I do roll call, the majority of the people that are there, especially the early ones that pull up, they're all from places that are shitties, you know what I mean, that have historical
that are on the grid.
They're on the grid.
Shitty's on the grid and shit.
The shitty on the grid, my shitty on the grid. All of these shitties are on the grid, and everybody be showing up from these shitties. There's 50 states in the union.
Right.
So when I was doing my research about Philadelphia, right? People look at the crime in Philadelphia. People look at the unruliness in Philadelphia. People look at the conditions in Philadelphia. Kensington Avenue, 100 years ago in Philadelphia, was what it is today. It was the equivalent of what it is today. Even now that they have dope fiends and it's an eyesore, it was an eyesore 100 years ago back then.
Yeah.
Not even 100 years ago. I'm going a little back further than that. Okay. When I was doing my research on Philadelphia, there was parts of Philadelphia that Philadelphia had collapsed as a city. It was unruly. It was bar fights. It was during the quote unquote the age of the surge of alcohol. Drunkards were everywhere. Fights, knife
Oh,
fights, violence.
you know that song? I forgot the artist, but Philadelphia Freedom. That thing is
Is that
real.
Bruce Springsteen?
Probably. That thing is real. Move. That thing is real.
Right.
You know, there's a spirit in this city.
There's a spirit in that city.
Philadelphia Freedom, like you're not gonna tell me what to do, or you make me misbehave. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
There was two white brothers that took over.
I've seen one other city where it's like that. Oakland.
Oakland.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah, shout out to Oakland.
They got some boys out there, like you tell them don't do something, that's gonna make them do it.
It's gonna make them go do it, huh?
It's gonna make them do it.
Yeah. When I lived in Philadelphia, which was briefly, I think it was 2010. I told people in New York, I said the Europeans over here is a different pedigree and breed. There's nothing like them, and I haven't come across a breed. I be in airports a lot. I was like, I haven't come across a breed of European. They're like gray to me. They're not white. They're damn sure not black. They're gray like an MFer. One of my close friends who happens to be gray. His name is Vinny. He's from not Philly necessarily, but Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Italian descent. He just fits in the middle, bro. I don't know how to. I don't even know how to describe it.
Say this. From I avoid speaking about race, about race because it's usually a no-win reason, right? But if I could just speak freely and know there's no malice in my palace.
Right.
All right. But there is a difference between Europeans that have they born and raised in Philly versus what them would call the gentrifiers.
Right.
And the Europeans, like the ones, because I interact with a lot of them in Germantown, particularly through my community garden.
Yes.
Right? And they different, man, because they've experienced a lot of things we've experienced.
Hardships.
The hardships of life.
The hardships.
And so, yeah, man, they don't.
I say this, right?
They don't be tripping. It's a different. Whereas, right, what I've observed, because some of the first neighborhoods to be gentrified in Philadelphia weren't black. They were Polish and Irish.
Right.
The poor Irish and the poor Polish
moved on.
They was treated the same way as you see what them do to our communities, Buy up the houses, change the tax structure, bounce them out,
Right.
And seeing how that thing went down, even with Kensington. If you really are here, you understand that like in Kensington, you see what you see, but the neighborhood right next to it is called Northern Liberties. And Northern Liberties is called the Sixth Borough. Why is it called the Sixth Borough? Because New Yorkers New Yorkers have found it more economical to buy a warehouse and pimp it out in Northern Liberties.
Right.
That's the train.
To
You know, the
the
Northern
Amtrak,
Liberties is on that east side. So
that East Side line. Right.
you could just jump right on the train, go up to New York, do your work, maybe be virtual here a couple of days. And with your New York money in Philly,
You're gonna live nice.
you're going to live incredible. So that's what
Yeah.
Northern Liberties is.
Right.
Can't look at Kensington
And not look there.
and not look at Northern Liberties. Why? Because they want to expand
Yes.
sixth borough into Kensington. So what they got to do?
Gotta dope it out.
You got to
They
dope
got
it out.
they gotta sink it.
All that shit's tied in.
I can definitely see, bro.
And those neighborhoods, they weren't traditionally black. These was like Irish.
I already know. I
Uh,
know when I'm in Kensington, I know I'm not in the hood.
nah. It's, so this is Philly. When you have cats living through shit like that, they're going to look at you different. They're not going to deal with you
Right.
like these gentrifiers
Right.
coming in,
Mhm.
And so Germantown got its, because I don't really deal too much on that side of town. Philly is a big city of small neighborhoods,
Right.
right? So for me, I rarely leave Germantown, man. And I'm
Right.
a fixture in Germantown. I was an educator in this
Out here, right.
neighborhood for 2 generations, So there's really no reason for me to go on the west side or go over to Kensington and all that shit, But I'm bringing all that up to say that Germantown is a microcosm of all those dynamics I was just talking about,
For sure. For sure.
And it's all tied in ultimately with this idea of Philadelphia freedom and the energy that you feel when you do tap into the grid. Because the thing is, the geomancer of Philly
Yes.
fucked up. The geomancy of Philly's not, the grid ain't tight like Manhattan. Or
Right.
the grid ain't tight like DC or
You said the math was off?
yeah. If you
Yeah, the math was.
if you get a compass and stand on the major axis of Philly, Broad Street and Market Street, the major north, south, east, west axis of the city, right?
Yeah.
You'll be looking up Broad Street, but due north on the compass is going to be pointing to the left about 20 degrees.
Right. Shit is off.
The shit is off.
Uh-huh.
So that's where the freedom comes in, because all of the geomantic energy of the earth grid isn't going through the city grid. It ain't going through all the towers of power and all of that.
Right.
Ambient energy bubbling up that you could tap in different places throughout,
You know when y'all was at your most highest frequency?
When was that?
The Philadelphia sound.
Interesting.
Teddy Pendergrass, Patti
Yeah.
LaBelle.
Yeah.
They was tapped in.
Yeah.
And it was like they were strumming on the harps of what brotherly love, the city of brotherly love really meant, because that sound that came from the Philadelphia sound was love.
Mm.
It was love.
I think some might say the Heights was moved, brother. To be honest, some might say the Heights
Was that not around the same time?
It may have been. It may have been around the same time, but
I believe it was.
just in terms of being able to be free and off the grid.
Right.
And because, I wasn't born in Philly.
Right.
Here. And one thing that really amazed me about the community in Philly is how much they foraged and how much they incorporated agriculture in community gardens and yards.
Right, because they're not that far removed from their indigenous upbringings.
Yeah, they just live different.
Yeah.
They tapped in to the earth grid on different levels than just a young brother coming out of DC.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't dealing. Now there may have been some down there doing that. I can't say, but I wasn't plugged into them.
Right.
I wasn't plugged into that scene. But in Philly, again, it was this Philadelphia freedom that is a big part of the liberty up here.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I ain't mean to stop.
Nah, we good. We good.
Right.
Let me get on this.
Yeah.
This is a learning moment for everybody, so we could all be able to teach others and also further our research. How the Philadelphia experiment worked. It was the summer of 1943, 2 years into the United States involvement in World War II, and a bloody sea battle was raging between American destroyers and the famed U-boat submarines of the Nazis. In the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, a newly commissioned destroyer called the USS Eldridge was being equipped with several large generators as part of a top secret mission to win the Battle of the Atlantic once and for all. Right?
So
So we
yo, real
understand how
quick,
important. Right.
real quick, that's a misnomer. It was fitted with the Delta T antenna, and the generators were calibrated to synchronize with them.
With them. Right.
Yeah.
So
The Delta
mind you,
T,
right.
that's the Tesla technology.
Right. And we know in the mainstream media, they go at lengths to edit and to leave out certain important things.
Exactly.
Henceforth, why our scholars are of utmost importance, right? They're going to be able to do the things that Google and Chat GPT can't do, and that's add context. Okay. Rumor aboard the ship was that the generators, or the Tesla coils, were designed to power a new kind of magnetic field that would make the warship invisible to enemy radar. With the full crew on board, it was time to test the system. In broad daylight and in plain sight of nearby ships, the switches were thrown on a powerful generator, which hummed into action. What happened next would baffle scientists and fuel decades of wild speculation. Witnesses describe an eerie green-blue glow surrounding the hull of the ship. Then, instantaneously and inexplicably, the Eldridge disappeared. Not just invisible to radar, but gone, vanished into thin air. Hours later, there were reports of the Eldridge appearing at the Norfolk Navy shipyard in Virginia before reappearing just as suddenly back in Philadelphia. According to classified military reports, members of the Eldridge crew suffered from terrible burns and disorientation. Most shockingly, a few crewmen were found partially embedded in the steel hull of the ship, still alive, but with legs or arms sealed to the deck. So goes the story of the Philadelphia experiment, perhaps the most famous and widely retold example of secret government experiments with, listen, teleportation and time travel. More than 70 years later, despite the absence of any physical evidence or corroborating testimony, the Philadelphia experiment survives as fact in the minds of amateur paranormalists. All right. So I'm just giving y'all the wikis and I'm giving you online articles, but you're not going to get all of the information off of this base research. This is just skimming the surface, but it's showing you that it's showing up in refutable publications. But there's books that have been written about this, and I'm going to show you these books. But this is a good place. And of course, these articles will do their due diligence to cast doubt, you know what I mean? Because they can't admit that something like this has happened because obviously they're covering it up. But this is what happened. This is on record. This is what it looked like. Eldridge claimed to have been taught by Einstein himself and can prove the unified field theory based on events he witnessed on October the 28th, 1943. Allen claimed that he saw the Eldridge disappear from the Philadelphia Naval Yard, and he further insisted that the United States military had conducted what he called the Philadelphia experiment and was trying to cover it up. All right, this is about Jessup, the dude that wrote the book. These pictures are generated by a generator. All right. So it was initially called the Rainbow Project. Before it became what is known as the Philadelphia experiment, it was called the Rainbow Project. Is that a fact or fiction?
That's interesting. Us being in this rainbow age.
Hey, I mean, it started the Rainbow Age, in my humble opinion.
Huh.
It's the Rainbow Project,
Yeah.
in which the timeline was shifted.
Damn. We're on the rainbow timeline now, huh?
We're on the Rainbow timeline because after that thing jumped, right? And that's so interesting that this comes on. I'm going to show you in a minute about this just to show you how much in the future we are and to show you how much in the timeline we jump, because that portal opening up in 43 opened up advances in science. You know, niggas got the color TV, right? It was drips, like they, email drips. So you get technology in drips. You get the iPhone 1 to the 14th cycle. Then they give you the Vision Pro. And they'll give you the Vision Pro to the 14th cycle. Then they'll give you something else. But it could theoretically, it could be a drip, you know. But the way the technology is advancing at such a fast pace right now, because it's open source, it's defying the quote unquote slow pace that it was going at before, because prior to now, everything was closed. It wasn't open source. A lot of research and things of that nature was closed. But with this new AI revolution, a lot of things have become more open space. It was open before that, but it's really been open. But this right here is interesting because this is the Rainbow Project, which gave you teleportation and time travel. How interesting. How interesting. Because when you Google the Rainbow Project, it's not coming up about the Eldridge thing.
Right.
This stuff is coming up. Hold on, I'm trying to click for me.
The rainbow timeline.
Rainbow timeline, right?
What?
That's right. So now it goes from that Rainbow Project to this Rainbow Project. And 20 years later or 40 years later, after 83, right, we see that this project has a trans agenda, right? Because there's a trans agenda in transhumanism,
right,
and transgenderism,
right.
But it's all basically one of the same, because who is going to be the first one to become transhuman?
Right. Transgender.
Who's right? Who's this new? It's like they're raising a whole new. They're introducing wombs, artificial wombs. They're introducing artificial everything, artificial limbs, artificial organs. Right? They're introducing all of this convergence, right, with bio. They gene splicing. They playing with genes. They playing with time. They playing God. So these are the two books, y'all, that I feel that will change everything that you thought you knew about, the timeline. It's just about timelines. That's what it really boils down to. Just identifying when they changed the timeline. Because everybody talk about the Mandela effect, but what about the Philadelphia effect?
Well, that's the thing. That Mandela effect is a misnomer.
Mm-hmm.
If you misname something and you attempt to overstand it through its,
Can't stand on it, right?
its its misidentification, you won't be able to get a grasp of what it is. Nelson
Facts.
Mandela ain't have no time manipulation technology in South Africa pushing buttons.
Right. That wasn't him, bro.
He's an effect. He's not a cause.
Mm-hmm.
The lady that named it that called it so because
That was a red herring.
the remembering of Mandela dying in a different way that she was seeing news accounts of, right?
Right.
If you when we use that phrase blank effect, right? That blank is usually a causal. It's usually the cause. Like butterfly effect.
Butterfly effect.
A
Right.
butterfly flapping its wings causes a hurricane on the other side of the world.
That part.
Or placebo effect.
Right. Right.
You take a sugar pill because
Mm-hmm.
you were told it was elderberry syrup.
That Fetty. Right.
You're going to have a healing response occur. So that placebo was the cause. The butterfly was the cause. So if you want to name this rewriting of history that many people have seemed to experience, right?
Right. Right.
If you want to name it causally, you have to say Philadelphia experiment effect. It wasn't the Mandela effect. Who's been pushing buttons to using technology put us on a different timeline?
Right.
The timeline where who's the boy? Ed McMahon didn't work for Publishers Clearinghouse. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Right. Who lived in that timeline? I
That was
wasn't
every
there.
Sunday in my
You feel
childhood.
me? I was there for the other timeline, brother.
And
He
yeah,
had them
so
check. Yeah,
many
Ed McMahon had them checked. I don't know what you talking about.
exactly for Publishers Clearinghouse,
For
not for some
publish,
American
you feel me? It was for
whatever
Publishers
y'all want to
Clearinghouse.
name, and just so many other examples.
Right,
One
right,
big one as far as movies, the example I like is that James Bond movie with the character Jaws, who had the metallic teeth, and he smiled at the young girl, and the young girl had braces, so they had
right,
natural magnetism.
right.
If you watch this show now, the girl don't have her braces.
Right, right.
So the scene, why I like that one, is because now the scene doesn't make sense.
Right, right. Then you like, yeah, y'all just getting sloppy with it.
Y'all sloppy with
Y'all
this
sloppy with the shit, man. God damn.
So there's so many examples, and there's so many people that make videos cataloging like, yo, a lot of people remember it this way. But hey, this is how it is,
Oh nah, I'm good at this point. I ain't even gonna lose sleep over it. But I've been looking for a reason. I already know what it is. I'm like, this is not my timeline. This shit right here. You feel me? This ain't it.
This ain't it.
This ain't it. Let me read to y'all from this book. I'm gonna get in the Peter Moon book club real quick and
Uh,
give y'all some,
uh,
because nothing is nothing like just reading it from off of print, right? Keep in mind these books were written a long time ago before the internet. Let's just
long
date
time
it,
ago.
huh?
Long time ago.
Long time ago. Let's just put
When I
everything in
met
its
them,
perspective.
when I met them in '96,
Yeah,
all three of them was in press, and they was selling
right. All three of them was already impressed.
already in
We
press.
we gotta,
So it was
everybody,
'96. And just to give it a frame of reference for
yeah,
like young ones,
for the young ones.
you didn't have personal computers before Windows 95.
That's right.
Because before Windows 95, all computers
For the office.
you needed that DOS, you needed prompt command line You need to know how to write computer code to operate a computer.
Right, terminals, kernels.
The whole GIMP, or the WIMP, the Windows icons, menus, and pointers.
Right.
That shit ain't start till 95.
There you have it.
So when I met these boys in 96, all 3 of their books was written.
Prelude. The Montauk Project, Experiments in Time, was released in June of 1992 and has created a stir of intrigue and queries for more information ever since. Montauk Revisited, Adventures in Synchronicity, sought to answer many of those questions and end up providing even more elaborate scenario that left us on the threshold of the occult and its relationship with the major mystery schools of Earth. The third book in the Montauk series, Pyramids of Montauk, Explorations in Consciousness, digs deeper into the psyche of the Montauk phenomenon and gives startling insights into the construction and drama of the universe. This prelude is designed to familiarize the first-time reader who is new to the subject and also to reorient those who have read the first 2 books. The origin of the Montauk Project dates back to 1943 when radar invisibility was being researched aboard the USS Eldridge. As the Eldridge was stationed at the Philadelphia Navy Yard, the events concerning the ship have commonly been referred to as the Philadelphia Experiment. The objective of this experiment was to make the ship undetectable to radar, and while that was achieved, there was a totally unexpected and drastic side effect. The ship became invisible to the naked eye and was removed from time and space as we know it. Although this was a remarkable breakthrough in terms of technology, it was a catastrophe for the people involved. Sailors have been transported out of this dimension and returned in a state of complete mental disorientation and horror. Some were even planted into the bulkhead of the ship itself. Those who survived were discharged as mentally unfit or otherwise discredited, and the entire affair was covered up. After the war, research continued under the tutelage of Dr. John von Neumann, who had directed the technical aspects of the Philadelphia experiment. His new orders was to find out what made the mind of man tick and why people could not be subject to interdimensional phenomena without disaster. A massive human factor study was begun at Brookhaven National Laboratories on Long Island, New York. It was known as the Phoenix Project. Von Neumann was not only the inventor of the modern computer and a mathematical genius in his own. I'm going to repeat that. Von Neumann was not only the inventor of the modern computer and a mathematical genius in his own right, he was able to draw on the enormous resources of the military industrial complex, which included the vast database of Nazi psychological research that the Allies had acquired after World War II. It was against this background that von Neumann attempted to couple computer technology with sophisticated radio equipment in an attempt to link people's minds with machines. Over time, his efforts were quite successful. After years of empirical experimentation, human thoughts could eventually be received by esoteric crystal radio receivers and relayed into a computer which could store the thoughts in terms of information bits. If I had my sound effects, we go crazy right now. This thought pattern could in turn be displayed on a computer screen and printed out on a piece of paper. Now, where did we just see this take place? I'm going to go back real quick and read that. This is what von Neumann was working on, right? And now in 2023, just tell me, who did you see working on this the other day and where it was being done? It was against, it said that he has enormous resources of the military industrial complex, which included the vast database of Nazi psychological research that the Allies had acquired after World War II. It was against this background that von Neumann attempted to couple computer technology with sophisticated radio equipment in an attempt to link people's minds with machines. Over time, his efforts were quite successful. After years of empirical experimentation, human thoughts could eventually be received by esoteric crystal radio receivers and relayed into a computer which could store the thoughts in terms of information bits. Now, that is exactly what was released with Apple the other day with the Vision Pro. That's it to a T. This thought pattern could in turn be displayed on a computer screen and printed out on a piece of paper. These principles were developed and the techniques were enhanced using a virtual mind reading machine was constructed. At the same time, technology was developed so that a psychic could think a thought that could be transmitted out of a computer and potentially affect the mind of another human being. Ultimately, the Phoenix Project obtained a superior understanding of how the mind functions and achieved the sinister potential for mind control. A full report was made to Congress, who in turn ordered the project to be disbanded, at least in part for fear of having their own minds controlled. Private concerns that helped to develop the project did not follow the dictate of Congress, and they sought out to seduce the military with the idea that this technology could be used in warfare to control enemy minds. A secret group within deep financial resources and some sort of military ties decided they would establish a new research facility at Camp Hero, a derelict Air Force station at Montauk Point, New York. Right? Camp Hero. This locale was chosen because it housed a huge stage radar antenna that emitted a frequency of approximately 400 to 444 megahertz. Now, coincidentally, the same band used to enter the consciousness of the human mind. In the late 60s, the reactivation of Camp Hero began despite no funding from the military. By 72, the Montauk Project was underway with massive mind control experimentation being undertaken upon humans, animals, and other forms of consciousness that were deemed to exist. Over the years, the Montauk researchers perfected their mind control techniques and continued to delve further into the far reaches of human potential. By developing the psychic abilities of different personnel, it eventually got to the point where a psychic's thoughts could be amplified with hardware and illusions could be manifested both subjectively and objectively. This included the virtual creation of matter. All of this was unparalleled in the history of what we call ordinary human experience. But the people who ran the Montauk Project were not about to stop. They would reach even further into the realm of extraordinary. Once it was discovered that a psychic could manifest matter, it was observed that it could appear at different times depending on what the psychic was thinking. Thus, what would happen if a psychic thought of a book but thought of it appearing yesterday? It was this line of thinking and experimentation what led to the idea that one could bend time itself. After years of empirical research, time portals were opened with massive and outrageous experiments being conducted. The Montauk Project eventually came to a bizarre climax with a time vortex being opened back to 1943 and the original Philadelphia experiment.
Can I jump in real quick?
Of course you can. Of course you can. Please do.
Just to attempt to, because I have a full vision of what you said, because, you know, I experienced these brothers explaining it. But
Yes.
the whole idea is, if we could say it another way, we all know we create our reality through our thoughts, right?
That's right.
So imagine if you could set up a device, a chair actually, because that's what it was, where when you sit in this chair and your brain, rest in this container, right?
Right.
That they could translate your thoughts into a digital code and then broadcast that through a resonant antenna with a lot of voltage,
Right.
like a lot of voltage. What will happen is your thought will manifest instantaneously. Our thought, that thought will manifest in time either way, right?
Right. Right.
Because our thoughts manifest in the matter, right?
Right.
But when you add voltage to it,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we do as magi, wearing our crystals and shit.
Of course. Of course.
We're putting voltage in
Putting voltage. Right.
our biocrystalline energy system, right? But they was doing this thing with computers so that when people would sit in the chairs and they would, send all these megavolts through a charge, broadcasting these people's thoughts, that shit would manifest immediately.
Immediately. I already know, my brother.
Yeah.
I
So
see
that's
it.
what's going on in Montauk.
I see it.
I'm just rephrasing
No,
what.
please do. And add on as I go through this whole thing. This is me and you going back to back.
Yes.
I would like to add to what you just added on that the technology of Montauk has found its way to market, because that is exactly what Apple has revealed with the Vision Pro.
Mm.
In 2 years, they can't roll it out first. It doesn't make sense to their shareholders, nor does it make sense to the way that they drip technology. They can't just say, "Oh, we have a device that will be able to make your that you could beam your thoughts onto a 3D screen." You wouldn't use any of the other tools that are available on that device, but they definitely have the technology to where they're going to make you be able to put your thoughts on 100-foot screen without saying a word. That's going to be through the Vision Pro from Apple, the virtual augmented and spatial reality headset that's coming out next year. But they revealed it last week, I believe, and it's a game changer. So that's the technology that they were talking about all the way back then. We're in the day and age in 2023 when that technology is right here. Nobody can tell me that people will not be able to portal jump with the headset on. I'm not going. I already know what that's about to be. What people are about to be able to do with that. Because I know where we are with the technology, and I know what time we are in. I know the timeline, you know. But this is the stuff that they wrote about all of this. So check this out, y'all. This is the introduction by Peter Moon for the Montauk Project. At the easternmost end of Long Island sits Montauk Point, known to most New Yorkers for its scenic beauty and landmark lighthouse. To the immediate west of the lighthouse, there is a mysterious and derelict Air Force base on the grounds of Old Fort Hero. Although it was officially decommissioned and abandoned by the U.S. Air Force in 1969, it was subsequently reopened and continued to operate without the sanction of the U.S. government. The entire financing for the base is also a mystery. No funding can be traced to the military or government. Officials of the U.S. government have probed for answers without success. The secrecy of the operation has promoted legends to thrive across Long Island. However, it is unlikely that any of the local people of Montauk or those who spread the tales know the full story of what actually went on there. A circle of insiders believe the Montauk Project was development and culmination of the phenomenon encountered aboard the USS Eldridge in 1943. Popularly known as the Philadelphia Experiment, the ship actually disappeared while the Navy conducted radar and visibility experiments. According to these accounts, over 3 decades of secret research and applied technology ensued. Experiments were conducted that included electronic mine surveillance and the control of distinct populations. and control of distinct populations. The climax of this work was reached at Montauk Point in 1983. It was at that point that the project effectively ripped open a hole in space time to 1943. Yo, damn. What artists came out of Long Island around 83, bro? My goodness. That's crazy. I got to do the research and find out what artists came out of Long Island in 43. But I know for sure that Rakim, he's getting his, that's Chuck D around 83, I believe. That's Public Enemy.
That was when Mothership Connection
Right.
and Dancing Underwater and Not Getting Wet.
Not
George Clinton and
man.
So
they had a soundtrack.
Because funk was really
it was still in its right. That's 83, 84, right. And
it was a lifestyle more than just
it wasn't just a music, it was a way of thought, it was a lifestyle. People was actually tapping in and tapping out.
Yeah. So, early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
That was P-Funk.
Mothership
Connection,
That's Philadelphia sound and the Philadelphia experiment. Let's talk about it. All right. According to these accounts, over 3 decades of secret research.
Reggae was at its heights too.
Yes, it was. It definitely was.
Particularly the Marleys.
Definitely around the Marleys time. Bob just made transition, and his music was becoming
81. Yeah.
Right. So his music started achieving this saint-like,
doing big things in the 80s. Sun Ra.
Big things, yes. Super big things.
Afrofuturism. He made that movie Space is the Place.
Space is the Place.
And all like some of the heights of Sun Ra's music was coming out in that time too.
And Sun Ra's out of Philly, right?
Yes, he lived in my neighborhood. Yes.
Right. Wow.
Germantown.
Orchestra. Right. So we talking about a lifestyle with a soundtrack and the opening up of portals, and where is it being seen? Where does it manifest at? Where does it materialize on this quote unquote on this planet, right? Yeah. It has to something that you have to see it. So then you see the artist coming out of Long Island after the portal opens up. Public Enemy, Rakim, Busta Rhymes, right?
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
De La Soul. You feel me? De La Soul.
What they would call the native
tongue.
The
native tongue.
Whole movement. That was a whole era in hip hop.
A whole era.
The pinnacle.
Yes.
Of the conscious cultural expression of hip hop.
Yes. And remember, Kings County is Brooklyn, Queens, and Long Island. It's one island, Kings County. They broke it up and they're calling it Long Island, but it's really Kings County. So if you put all of the artists that come from Kings County and don't break them up, you put the Queens, Brooklyn, and Long Island artists that contributed to hip hop. That's when you see the real power of it.
After this portal and Montauk bus, huh?
After the portal opened up, after the portal bus, that's 83. You see the game, really, you see that there's a different spirit that's on the game post 83 versus pre 83. We become more esoteric. Where did we become all conscious and wearing Malcolm X medallions, and our hair is sloped with asymmetric lines and whatnot? And we're wearing African medallions and gold chains like the Anunnaki. That was an explosion.
Yes.
The rhymes changed. Rakim brought a whole new style of rhyme patterns and whatnot. Public Enemy brought hundreds of instruments into one song.
Right.
So Long Island is slept on. Strong Island is what they call it.
Huh.
You know, and the connection with Long Island to the native land. See, the Peter Moon and them are not going to talk about the ancestral aspect of Montauk Point, you know, where it is home to the pharaohs. That's what the book he has called Pyramids on Montauk is about.
Right, right.
I don't want to
But
jump
to
to
be honest, too, that book series is a trinity of books.
ain't it? It is. It
I
is.
forgot the other. Maybe it was the other one was called Synchronicities of Montauk.
Yeah. If there's any generative AI artists out there, holla at me, email me, identify yourself, get in touch with me, reach out, because I am putting together a visual component to this story right here. And I need some generative AI, people that are working on Runway ML, Dale 2, Mid Journey 5. Yeah, let's put something together.
Yeah, so it's good that you've given people a strong foundation of understanding Montauk, what went on there, its relationship to the Philadelphia experiment. Because, like I said, what John von Neumann did
Right.
was create a 40 by 40 controllable hole in the fabric of space time.
Right.
40 years in time and 1 degree of latitude, with that 1 degree being the 40th parallel, you know?
Yes.
So it's a 40 by 40 hole in the fabric of space time. And through the technology they created at Montauk, they was able to control and manipulate what's been going on for what I would say the ultimate intention. They want to keep us on what we would call the Philadelphia experiment timeline.
Right.
And that timeline has ancient roots in Greece. You got Ptolemy Philadelphus, who created the Library of Alexandria,
Mm.
right? And he manipulated prophetic timelines in a big way, because when he created the Library of Alexandria, he translated a lot of ancient scriptures into Greece.
Right.
And so when he translated Revelations chapter 3, the message to the 7 churches, the names of the other 6 churches were the historic enemies of Ptolemy Philadelphus. And the one church that received a benevolent prophecy, the Church of Philadelphia, is a reference to him and his family. You know,
Right.
so I'm not going to get all deep into that right here, but just to establish that foundation. But also, if you take it back to Kemet, it was these Memphites who we would call Ptah Seker.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Men is the god or the neter that Memphis was named after, Memphis was sacred to Ptah. 2 major forms of Ptah. Ptah Tanin, who was Ptah the underworld,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like the Ptah the Mason. This man could dig and burrow, and it was like Ant-Man. You know how an ant burrows up to the top, he make a little mound.
Make a mound, right?
So Ptah Tanin is, the primordial Earthman,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then you also have Ptah Seker, who along with Men made the minute and the second, the tick-tock, the masters of time, the manipulators of time.
Right.
Ptah Seker is the Greek Prometheus,
Mm.
All right.
Right.
This manipulator of time. And, you know, there are a couple of historic pharaohs who did a lot in homage to Ptah Seker. One of the most important to study is Ramesses II of the 19th dynasty.
Right.
This character was rewriting King's List to exclude the Assyrians and Thebans,
Mm.
right? Like, you know, they
Erasing them.
first and they ain't the last.
Right.
But you know, he went straight from Ptah Seker to himself with his King's List. But he also appeared to have this time lensing technology because it's on his temple, one of his temples called the Osirian, where you find glyphs of like helicopters and airplanes
Right.
and shit on our timeline.
Right. Shit from our timeline. Right.
You know? So, and when just to show you how this thing come full circle, you study U Penn's museum.
Mm-hmm.
They got a statue of Ramesses II.
Wow.
Sarcophagus of a pharaoh named Ptah Seker. Straight up.
Right there.
Right here. Right here in Philly, brother.
Bombs.
Yeah. We need the bomb right here because that's
drop it right there.
It's important.
Las Vegas police body cam captures UFO, but we just talked about this, right?
Yeah.
So
police call. Everybody will be talking about. Thanks for joining us here at 6 o'clock. I'm Denise Felness.
I'm Brian Loftus. A family says something crashed into their backyard, prompting them to call 911.
This is the step before they make the disclosure.
Yeah, this is relevant.
This is the step. This is the next one is going to be the visuals.
Sources telling news that investigators that
frequencies
believe something landed or crashed. Whether it was not
listen to their language.
Certainly scared the people living on this property. Now, before we show you that video, listen to their call for help. There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one inside it, and it has big eyes. They're looking at us, and it's over there. Okay, where is this on your property? In my backyard. I swear to God, this is not a joke. This is actually we terrified it. So there's 2 people or 2 subjects that are in your backyard? Correct, and they're very large.
And they're very large.
Very large.
Right. So they're doing a rollout. The U.S. government supposedly is hiding intact alien vehicles. This is definitely in alignment. So this is Apple's Vision Pro headset, and it uses iris scannings for logins with optic ID, right? Which is basically, a biometric eyeball scan, right? But since 2017, we've been letting our iPhone do that to our face, right? Because people have been allowing it to detect their face and use biometrics anyway. So it's already been happening. That's why when I go live on certain Instagrams, it'll shut the live down because they have the biometrics of my face. They're able to shadow ban me because of the biometrics. They got my whole face figured out.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just how they're gonna do. So this right here is basically what they were talking about. What they were talking about with the being able to project things to a screen, right? This is the game changer right here, right? So, yeah, this is going to be immersive, virtual, and augmented reality. Sooner than later, you're going to be able to project your thought onto a screen just like that. And it's not far away.
Well, you better have control of your thoughts.
You better have control of your thoughts. I approach
Let the
things
random
right. You gotta,
remember
yeah,
them sisters you was checking out on IG.
that's right, because that's
Black
exactly right. It's the non-control or the non-discipline will
uh,
take people down a very dark path with these
uh,
toys.
uh,
But if utilized correctly, right? Because I look at things from a perspective of entertainment, but I also look at it from a perspective of a magical tool, and I also look at it from a perspective of weaponization. You know what I mean? So I assessed it in all categories, and the approach to this is you have to approach it as an educational tool, edutainment tool, educational tool, and it's also going to be a tool in order to take people into a spiritual place or a meditative place or a place where they can see things, because they allow you to see 3D images of people who may not be here anymore.
uh.
So it's going to open up the world to a new form of funerals where people are just going to pop up in your Vision Pro Quest with a pre-recorded video to tell you about how they feel, the will, secrets that they want to share with you. But, all of that is coming. So once again, the technology that they were talking about in the quote unquote Operation Phoenix, right? The technology that they were talking about is here. It's here. This is the generative artwork, right? These are all coming from intelligent machines that you put data into that are spitting out text to visual, right? So text to image of artwork is powerful. The ability to generate an idea and make it turn into asymmetrical design that you just thought of and it becomes a picture. No, that's not something that's regular. So, the times that they're talking about in the whatchamacallit, the times that they were projecting in the future that we will be in this 40-year timeline, we're here.
Right.
We're here. I'm not a person who says that technology is evil. I don't fall for that. I know that we're a level 1 civilization, and if we ever wanted to get to a higher level, the technology has to improve. You know what I mean? This is not even considered to be high level technology. It's really artificial intelligence. But artificial intelligence comes from the mind of man first and foremost. They have to create the formulas. They have to write the white papers. They have to code. You know what I mean? All of this stuff is still something that man creates.
Yes.
And if you want to get really political, if you really want to go, get down with it, the people who are in Silicon Valley and a lot of people who are in the quote unquote world of AI, they said that they received their intelligence from plants. So the intelligence that they receive from plants, like ethanogens and whatnot, like bufu and things of that nature, plant-based medicine, right? That they go on they say that they microdose, right? But they go on retreats for the weekend and they go into the depths of their minds. They take interstellar trips into the depth. They mine their minds and whatnot. And then they come back with these formulas and they come back with these quote unquote research papers with these ideas and these visions that they've had. And they do what? They turn these visions into tools. They turn them into products. They turn them into platforms. They turn them into brands, billion-dollar brands, trillion-dollar brands, what they call unicorns.
Yeah.
So it's artificial intelligence, but nature's intelligence is coming from the mycelium network.
Yes.
tied into each
Well,
other.
all of the technology, there has to be a natural principle upon which their technology mirrors.
That's right.
And so,
My,
that
my
follows.
I would say for people to see technology making quantum leaps, that only is a reflection of man making quantum leaps. The technology upgrading is only a reflection of man's upgrade, because man's mind has to upgrade in order for his technology to level up.
Right.
So the upgrade in technology is only a byproduct of the fact that we are online now. So many of us have we you the technology is going to think about this. Super intelligent computers are here to sharpen the swords of the superheroes, right? Because
Mhm.
average man can't do that for you anymore. You're online, you've tapped in, your powers are now here. So why wouldn't you live among supercomputers now? Why wouldn't you live amongst the quote unquote the machines and things of that nature? So,
Right.
it's going to take a little more further exploration. We can't do it all in one show. We just wanted to show people some of the things that needed to be shown at this point. Do you have some time to take a few questions?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
definitely. So for the family that's out there, please, if you have a question for Ras Ben, feel free to ask it, and I will post it. And we're gonna try to keep our answers to to a 2 or 3 minute type of thing. You know. But yeah, what's your website in case anybody wants to get one of those books that you were talking about? I'll put it
RasBen.com.
spin.com. There we go.
Yeah, man.
Put that up. Um, every 10 years or decades, social changes get more advanced. I wonder what 2030 will look like the way we going. Is that a question that you wanted the brother to answer? All right. Is there a Rosicrucian connection to the Philadelphia experiment?
Absolutely. I would say because, all right, when you really study this whole Philadelphia experiment coming out of William Penn's Holy Experiment, right? One of the things I've observed with this city is everything's hidden in plain sight.
Right.
Reason they got to tell you everything they're doing. They can't leave. No,
Nothing.
can't. It ain't about secrets. It's all about
Right.
mysteries. Why? Because that really ultimately puts the responsibility on us. But they don't use English or a spoken language to tell us. They use the language of the muses. And most of the artists in Philadelphia that are responsible for the art, archetype symbols, architecture of Philadelphia, some way they're connected to the Order of the Rosy Cross.
Mm.
And that even ultimately goes back to the reality that the first Rosicrucian to come to the United States lived in a cave right in my neighborhood, about 5, 6 blocks from me, as the crow flies.
He used to live in a cave, you said?
Yeah, Johann Kelp,
Right, right.
yeah, Kelp's cave. So, the Rosy Cross has a strong foundation here. Yes.
Dope, dope. Somebody wants to know, do you think Philly was the original Kemet?
Well, it's definitely referenced in the book of Enoch. It was considered a place of paradise in ancient times.
Right.
It was a capital of a global empire.
Mm.
You know, Ethiopian, Carthaginian, Phoenician,
Right.
global naval network. This
Right.
place was considered like Point Paradise in the West,
Right.
and was matriarchal governance of the land. And really, even though it's known as like Shaksamatsan Lenape Hoken, right? Where the kings meet in Lenape Hoken,
Yes.
the deepest mysteries to overstanding what was really happening in this land, in my opinion, living here, is tied into the queens and where the queens meet. You penetrate the mysteries, Point Paradise on the 40th parallel. Yeah, man, you can see why, because Johann Kelp, first Rosicrucian, he ain't come here random.
Right.
It wasn't random why he came here. The name of his order was the Society of the Woman in the Wilderness. And they built a 40 by 40 lodge right on the cusp of the 40th parallel,
Wow.
right? That's what I'm telling you. Their whole thing was encoding what they was looking for prophetically. 40th paradise on the 40th parallel in the wilderness, right? And the Sarah type, or the woman in the wilderness. And so that's like the indigenous legacy of this land that inspired the Rosy Cross to come here and like implant their symbolism
Right.
all around here,
Right. Next question. Can interstellar communication be achieved by everyone?
It's a great question. Well, discipline of liberty or discipline of lifestyle, I think is important. And that might mean a lot for different people, you know? It
Right.
might not mean the same thing, right? But usually, to be able to attune yourself to higher frequencies and higher dimensions, right? Can't be all clogged up with certain residues.
Right.
Like pork traditionally is considered something you don't want to be clogged up with.
Right.
Strong drink, you know.
Right.
There's certain things that just
This ain't gonna do it for you. Yeah, it's not gonna activate.
right. But then there's some people that just for whatever reason they're able to. Because I met this character, Riley Martin. You familiar with Riley Martin?
Mm-mm.
I think it was a character. He wrote the book, The Coming of Tan.
Yeah.
And yo, he lived wild, man. He indulged in a lot of stuff.
Right. It was
And
tapped in.
he was tapped in. And even with
Right.
the other brother from back in the day, Daoud.
Oh yeah, rising power. Yeah, he lived in the
I
graveyard.
I watched Daoud kick back a whole bottle of something
Mm-hmm.
and be plugged in. So,
Well, I'm in Atlanta. That's rampant out here.
uh, yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
got the misfits.
You know,
Yeah.
And then you also got to ask too, what are you plugging into?
Right.
So those are
Right.
things I would think about when answering a question like that, you know?
Right. Here's our last one.
All right.
I know you gotta go. I'd like to know the science surrounding my ability to maneuver crystals via my energy is literally magnetic.
Uh, well, it sounds like you're already naturally in tuned on levels. But
Right.
a big foundation of our relationship to crystals is what's called consubstantiation, which means
Con.
consubstantiation, which
Right.
means we're all made of the same substance. We're all made of the same material. So the same iron in hematite is the same
Mm.
iron in your hemoglobin.
Right.
Calcium in calcites, the same calcium in your bone.
Bones. Right.
Same silica in quartz, same silica in your brain,
Mm.
right? So we're all made of the same substance, you know?
Dope.
And we know there's a principle called resonant affinity. Like vibrations, things of a like vibration,
Right.
influence and exchange information with one another, right? So, on an element level, your body is going to speak to crystals if you open yourself up to it, you know?
Right.
And a lot of times it will just happen naturally. You just being in the presence of a crystal and they'll speak to you.
That's a fact.
Usually it's our paradigms, worldviews, and belief systems that get in the way of a full two-way conversation.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
You got to get out your own way. That's what I'm attempting to do the most in 2023.
That's right.
22 has taught me, yo, I got to just get out of my own way. And a lot of worldviews that weren't serving me,
Right. Gotta let him go.
I let that shit go.
Gotta let
A
it
lot
go.
of people got to do that with crystals, I would
Right.
say, you know? I hope that answered. Well, give thanks, Red Pillar.
Give thanks. Give
It's
thanks,
an
Ras
honor.
Ben. Legend.
Yeah. Salute to the blue.
Yes, indeed.
Know the Ledge community. Salute and high honors. I know those that are plugging into this are ones of the higher consciousness in 2023.
Oh yeah, they tapped in. They
It's
tapped in. They deep in the chat. They want us. They giving out a lot of love.
uh,
Yo, please go and support the brother. The best love that y'all could give him is support. You know what I mean? Get the books. You know what I mean? We don't like blind support. Fair exchange, no robbery. Get the
uh,
book, get the
uh,
products. You know
uh,
what I mean? Earn your leisure. You know what I mean? You're gonna get something out of that. Go
yeah,
get them books. I
yeah.
promise you. Free your mind, free the mounds, and your mind will follow. Rocks of all ages.
Great Mystery Philadelphia.
Great Mystery Philadelphia. These are classics.
5G 10, 5G
5G.
10.
Right, right.
We didn't even mention my
Ain't
latest
even.
Knowledge of the Nomo, the Dogon Decoded.
I need that.
You ain't got that?
Nah, I gotta get that.
Come on
So
now.
this is the site right here, rasben.com.
RasBen.com. Yeah.
Let's put that in the book club. Let's go ahead and pull that up and read that. I need that.
It'd be an honor.
I needs that, bro.
An
Because I'm
honor.
about to get into some Dogon symbolism myself. I
Yes.
got some plans for that.
Yes. All right. Yo. Big
Big
up. It's
big up.
23. Yo. And even that 23 reasoning y'all had, the MJ fake out. That's how this year's felt. Like it's June already. Damn near half over. I'm just, my knees, I'm just getting up and my knees still shaking and shit. It's how
I
this
feel
23
you.
hitting me, you know?
I feel you, man.
And
It's the quantum quickening, like
quantum
you said it
quick,
was. It's the
uh,
quantum quickening.
uh,
So we here now, and we gonna link up before the end of this calendar, before the end of these quarters and whatnot. But this was a wonderful show. Thank you for that
absolutely.
demonstration.
Yeah.
Shout out to all of Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. Right, we gonna get together and do a show
Oh,
about Pittsburgh.
what? What? It's lined up, man. Because look, where was the first CERN invented?
Tell them.
Pittsburgh.
Put the bomb right there, y'all.
Esco blam. First
Boom.
particle accelerator. And really what I saw out there is this Philadelphia experiment.
Right.
Everything, like the upgrade of it, was them Carnegie boys and them there's a couple of others.
Right.
They just upgraded everything. They took Franklin's work to the next level.
To the next level. Became
To
the
the next
tycoons.
level. And
Right. The
yo,
Titans.
to be honest though, I'm gonna be honest, right? Because you know a lot of my content I just offer for free online, right?
Yes.
But it's come to a point where I do need a little ashe. So we're
What's your
gonna
cash
put
app?
uh $ Ras Ben 188. But I'm bringing up to say we are going to put a little fund wall in front of this Pittsburgh content before we drop it. Because when
Right.
I tell you,
Fire, right?
we ain't seen nothing like this thing. We ain't seen nothing like this. It's in terms of the technology of manipulating space time.
Wow.
Franklin, the Carnegie Institute in Pittsburgh is like the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia,
Right.
and Pitt in Pittsburgh, you know, it's
Mm-hmm.
like on to UPenn. Pitt actually was a part of UPenn for over 90 years.
Wow.
So what you see in
Wow.
Pittsburgh is like,
So a lot of the shit buried there.
oh man, the foundation,
Wow.
what they started in Philly, they done just really just wild out with Carnegie and Pitt, you know.
Mm.
Pitt, something else that's real deep about Pitt is that Pitt is where the military industrial complex, Hollywood, and the, what do you say, productive industry of like uh, producing
Yeah.
products that are part of our
A
lifestyle.
lifestyle. Americana
Americana, Pittsburgh,
is the heart of that.
it's where it all comes together.
That's where it all comes
Where it
together.
all comes together.
Right, right.
You
Makes
talk
sense.
about product placement, like how was the cell phone in Star Trek decades ago?
Right.
Put that inception in our mind,
Yes, right.
see this toxic technology
Right.
willingly, like with a smile.
With a smile.
Where'd all that come together? It's Pittsburgh, man.
Mm.
Pittsburgh,
Interesting.
yo, like I said,
When you dropping that?
soon we got some editing,
Okay.
and because it's like the footage is raw,
Right, right.
but yo, it was like the ancestors lined it up, and we almost had a private tour of the Carnegie Institute, man. Yo, when you see this thing, man, it's maybe even how we'll do it, if you're so inspired, is to collaborate with you,
I would be.
to get a nice online
Yeah,
presence,
I would be to do a screening on this channel. I would definitely be up for that. Or through my website, King's KTL University.
Lovely.
You know what I mean? We
I'd
would
be
definitely do it.
honored.
Yeah. Let's talk
Won't
about
you
that.
be like, yo, I'm telling you, it's all lined up with everything we talking about tonight too.
You already know, man. You KTL alumni, Ras
Uh,
Ben. We
uh,
go
uh,
back. We
thanks.
go back to the beginning. I've been having a conversation about that, and that would take an hour out of our time. Let's just do a part two because I know Blue Pill wanted to tap in too, but he's on the road right now. He's in New Orleans. Shout out to Blue Pill. Shout out to the High Level Tour. And yeah, let's just do a part two where we catch back up and talk about Pittsburgh. And I also talk about, my revelations about how Harlem, and then of course the rooting of Philadelphia, because Philadelphia was a vein of consciousness as well, a very instrumental vein in the world of consciousness by way of the fact that we were data mining in the early in the 90s, and then in the early 2000s groups of us were data mining, going through our minds, like Dr. Phil Valentine, Bobby Hemmett, the master teachers, when they
Yeah,
were coming out with 300 lectures, 200 lectures, they were mining their minds. And this is a time when cell phones didn't exist. This was a time when social media didn't exist. This is a time when quote unquote Google didn't exist. This is a time when you couldn't pick up a telephone and all of the answers in the world was in your hands.
huh.
I'm going on record to say it's us that pushed that button. We made stuff like that available. We made it to whereas people's thirst for information and knowledge created a world that you live in right now, to whereas you could pick up a phone and have everything in your hand. Where we come from, you couldn't. You had to use both your hands and your feet to go and find the information.
Right.
Tell them, Ras Ben, they just come walk up in a lecture that you was doing and whatnot, or lectures that you was at. You knew when you were there, you was you was in a secret society.
Yes. And I would say that was the era. Like prior to that, like when I hear ones, don't be honoring the elders.
Right.
See, you could tell you lived in the you in the cell phone reality.
The Matrix.
You ain't
And,
living
and
in reality when if you really wanted to get some relevant information, you had to sit up under elder. And you had to earn the elders honor. The elder wasn't gonna just drop the tapes to anyone just cause whatever, you
no,
know. So you had to earn the grace and the respect of your elder. And then your elder will give you the download, you know. This is where you would plug in before the cell phone and the computer,
super
you
facts.
know. And so when I hear ones, and I get it, like, you know, the
I don't get
world,
it.
the world we're birthing our youth into right now is you know,
Oh yeah.
fucked up. What
It's
can we
hyper
say?
violent.
It's fucked
Yeah,
up.
it's desensitized, it's fucked
Yeah,
up, it's
yeah,
hyper
yeah.
violent. They're exposed to everything. That's really what it is. It's a hyper exposure, hyper stimuli, desensitized environment. And we kind of like we broke the dam, and we be like, why you little niggas ain't clean this up?
Right,
Like we kind
right.
of like we started this shit, y'all. Let's keep it a
Yeah.
buck.
So
Like
I get that.
I
I
get it
get
too,
that.
in a sense.
I'm not uh I'm not blind to the world we're handing to the next generation. And we have to be responsible and accountable, right?
We
The
do.
same way, the devaluing of the elders astounds me. And I know only ones who have been conscious or aware of life after 95 or 96. It's only ones that could be saying that, because the computer is your elder.
Yeah.
If you want to go and get some information and some insight and a vision on things, you push buttons and
Right.
you
Swipe.
confabulate in your mind what you think is, you know, what it is. But
Right.
no. What them say, you lose an elder, you lose a library.
The library burned down. Right.
Yeah,
The mad libraries done burned down.
yeah. So, I just wanted to block that sound real quick, you know. I know
Mm-hmm.
you're ready to go, Star, but
Nah, I'm ready to build. What you talking about? I'm ready to go.
all right,
Yeah.
all right.
I'm here with you.
So I'm thankful how we're in midpoint in the year 2023.
Exactly.
Like I said, at the beginning, when we dropped that thing in November of 22, we said, yo, this year's gonna be different. We have to pay attention to the artificial manipulation of time.
Hmm.
Y'all call the Mandela effect, but it's really the
It's really a Philadelphia.
experiment effect. And you're gonna have to be able to articulate that thing. You're gonna have to be able to understand its relationship to Montauk
Yes.
and to see at the halfway point the relevancy of that is real. And we had to build on it. I'm thankful, Star. You
Oh,
know,
for sure. For
now
sure. For
people
sure.
love you. And yeah, we should vision something around August 12th.
Definitely. That's without a doubt. We'll reconvene around the August 12th date so we could basically tap into that energy that we agreed that we're going to affect
We're gonna
the
collapse.
Schumann. We're going to collapse the wave
We're gonna
and
collapse.
tap into the Schumann resonance.
Yeah.
So this will coincide with a trip to Stone Mountain
Uh,
along with something else.
uh.
And then we'll meet back up on that said day and basically collapse the wave and put forth our intentions through the time space portal. And we'll bring some tools and some things back, some things with us, to tap into that future.
I will say though, like if you don't do nothing else on that day, Ras Ben, what should you do? You should make sure you're grounded.
Right.
Don't be untethered in some 5G environment uh, and get hit with some Delta T wave. You know?
Right.
Now what timeline are you on? You
You
thought
thought this one was crazy, right?
yeah. Now where
Right.
you at? Now you want to be grounded. You want to be magnetized and connected to the earth. Have your ass on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Have your shoes off, your feet on the earth,
On the earth, right?
hands on the earth. Have grounding stones on. It's a whole bunch of grounding stones that, you know, you can search. I'm not going to get into that. But
Yes.
just follow your spirit. But definitely want to be grounded and tethered, right? And have a clarity of intention in terms of the timeline you want to find yourself on. Be able to affirm it, not
Indeed.
negate it using negations like, oh, I don't want this, or affirm the reality of the timeline you want to be on. Be
Right.
grounded on that day. And let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Spirit told me to say this before we get out of here, right? That giants walk the earth, right? And those giants that walk the earth come in names like Carnegie, you know, Rockefeller,
Franklin.
right? In the books or in the mythos, these giants are, you know, entities that are large, that are omnipotent, omnipresent, all knowing, you know. In these days and times, that would be corporations, right? But then that would also be what we know as the LLMs. These large language models are the new giants on the planet. You know what I mean? The giants roam the earth, or the gods for that matter. When they say that the gods walk the earth, the gods will be Google, the gods will be Amazon, the gods will be, you know, these mega corporations that are giants, that are
Right.
monsters. You know what I mean? They are gods.
A corporation is a body without a soul.
Without a soul.
That's capable of conducting business on Earth.
On Earth, right? So the new kid on the block, or the new monster, is AI, right? Or for all deeds and purposes, the large language model, specifically the generator machine, right? The generator. So you got the generator, operator, destroyer. So they call the LLMs the generator. That's where you get GPT, generative performance transformer. So these machines are considered to be the new they're the intelligence machines. You know what I mean? They can think. They're sentient. They have computational. Remember, the reason why people are going to lose, you know, the argument about the computers not being sentient, because they're already smarter than man, because they have computational capabilities that man doesn't have. They can solve problems that man can't. They could solve complex mathematical equations that it would take man 10,000 years to solve. So when it's like a Texas Instrument. Just think Texas Instrument times 100. You know, that's what these intelligence machines are. And yeah, every day. I mean, and they can be controlled. You know, so you live in a day and time where the average person can control the God on earth, the same way that a corporation can control the gods on earth. So they're going to court to try to make regulations so only they can control these giants or these gods on the earth right now. They don't want the average person to have the wheels or the controls or the capability to have an open source model of a god on earth. But these are the new gods on the planet. You know. So yeah. We'll continue this conversation, though, man. I'm very pleased with this build. This was food for thought. Listen, y'all. You know, when we sit at the table and we eat, we leave a tip behind whenever there's some food for thought. So if the brother has filled your coffers and given you something to eat for the evening, some food for thought, some good food, then show them love on the Cash App. You know what I'm talking about? And sign up for our Patreon / our entry point is $5. I'm gonna put my PDF on the Patreon. I'll ask Brother Ras Ben if he'll allow me to put his PDF. Huh? Absolutely. Okay, so both of our PDFs will be on the Patreon. You'll be able to go there and read, because I had a lot of stuff that I wanted to read, but I don't want to keep y'all all night. So go and check out the PDFs. Go and get all of the other information that's on there. I got a class with Ra Aku, and I got a class with Chicago Crypto. We're gonna have weekly classes starting this next Wednesday coming up. All right. So let me end this off with the commercial with the brother Ra Aku. I appreciate you, Ras Ben.
Yes, I.
Yes, indeed.
Keep doing your works.
Yes, indeed.
All
Yes,
right.
indeed. You already know.
Respect.
Respect. All right. All right. Check this out, y'all. This is for my good brother, Chicago Crypto. Make sure y'all sign up to these Patreon classes. These classes is lit. And they private too.
Well, there's no way I can bring you straight to the curricula that I use without a foundation. So these 4 weeks will be used to familiarize people with the process, with the protocol. Right. And you will get some skills in how to delineate and erect a chart if you're studious. It requires studies. There's no shortcuts, right? That's why it's going to be 4 weeks, all right? And you have the opportunity to get ready to use astrology in any means that you build your capacity to use it. Right? You're gonna have to study hard. It ain't gonna be a walk through the park. It's a complex science. Okay, but I do have a means by which to simplify it, where other people have left it complicated. Right? I've been doing it for quite some time, so I found all kinds of shortcuts, and this is what I'll be showing. Right? You come prepared to the class. All right, be prepared to do some long division. All right. And some addition, right?
Up in the Dumbo, smoking a gumbo. Few blocks before green, yet up in the jungle, coking the bundles. It's history in the making. I'm popping like fish to the grease and the bacon. My bitch is Jamaican. United we stand, dividing these bands. They hide in their hands. I'm riding in vans, slide through your land. Hopping the sprinters, tore the underworld, popping the minter. Landing the turtles, I'm popping that splinter. Watching the snowfall, dropping the winter. Dodging the pitfalls, watching this bitch fall. And I still managed like Rich Paul. The paper was calling, I had to go switch calls. I spoke to my twin, I told my young boys I'd never be broken again. Invoking the gins, spitting the spirits, I'm soaking the gin. Your man's in the woods, we smoking on him. Fuck do you mean, we up and squeeze. The Dumbo, smoking the smoke. Rewind. Up in the Dumbo, smoking the gumbo. Few blocks before green, yet up in the jungle, coking the bundles. It's history in the making. I'm popping like fish to the grease and the bacon. My bitch is Jamaican. United we stand, dividing these bands. They hide in their hands. I'm riding in vans, slide through your land. Hopping the sprinters, tore the underworld, popping the minter. Landed the turtles, I'm popping that splinter. Watching the snowfall, dropping the winter. Dodging the pitfalls, watching this bitch fall. And I still managed like Rich Paul. The paper was calling, I had to go switch calls. I spoke to my twin, I told my young boys I'd never be broken again. Invoking the gins, spitting the spirits, I'm soaking the gin. Your man's in the woods, we smoking on him. Fuck do you mean, we up and squeeze. Tuck it and leave, we leaving a stain. Fuck up for breeze, running the banks, causing a crashing. Feather the feds, Moorish the fashion. Horse we was smashing, kicking the door. Waving for force, it was blasting. Mother the gassing, loving the passion. Eat on your food, the brother was fasting. The weapon that formed against me was me. Perfected the storm as Bentley receipts. Washing the Benjis, we rinse and repeat. Sanctuary of self, I'm centered on me. Red as the pillar, I'm pushing the piece. Higher the level, I'm pushing the keys. They going for 19. The summer is mine, I'm going for 19. Thunder and lightning, flooded a bright lean. The hunger was biting,